Hello everyone, Luke here. Now, after the awesomeness of chapter 200, they finally got the rocket engine working and they finally speeding off towards the next destination. This chapter was chapter of the week for me for a few reasons, as we'll get into it. Mainly because I was kind of right about something. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's just dive right into this chapter. Okay, so this will be chapter 201, titled Morse Talk. This is a reference to what happens later in the chapter, but for starters, I just want to talk about this colour page, which depicts Senku and Suika. Senku is what's holding what is obviously the rocket engine on his back, kind of like a mace, and he's kind of like standing like that, looking incredibly proud and proud of himself, but also having his hand on his mentoree Suika, which, let's be honest, Senku is a mentor to Suika at this point, and also many other people in the Kingdom of Science like Chrome, and that's going to be important later in the chapter. But yeah, this is the colour page. Pretty awesome colour page, and I love the fact that Suika and Senku now basically have the same costume, and this could tie into the title page a few chapters ago, where you had Suika in a full silver armor, and now you have her in Senku science gear, which could be Boichi and Inagaku suddenly tell us that yes, Suika is going to be a Dragon Ball trainer. She's going to be a member of the power team and the science team at this point, and that's pretty incredible that we're actually getting that. So anyway, the chapter starts off proper with the sea creatures just running around, minding their own business. One sea creature, a sailfish. I first initially thought it was a swordfish, but according to Dr. Stone trivia, it's a different kind of fish. So it's I think let me just go back, because I want to actually be sure about this. Let's go back and actually look. Because you know how people like to be right about things. So I just want to get this completely right. Let's come on, Twitter, work with me, Doctor. Dr. Stone trivia. Here we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. We are getting there. The whale here looks like a North American right whale, though the Kingdom of Science is taking the direct route to Europe, which, I've kind of spoiled where they're actually going now. The fish looks like a bluefin tuna, which was the swarm of fish that was actually seen. The sailfish, yeah. So it's a sailfish. Okay, so the sailfish is just by its time laughing, having a joking vibe, and then also it just sees the person just speed past. It's like, what the fuck? What the hell was that? But it's surprising because the sailfish is supposed to be faster. That's probably what its expression was. That it's supposed to be like the fastest creature in the known sea, because the fastest known fish in the ocean, because it's meant to get up to 109 kilometers per hour, but the Perseus cruising speed was only staying at 37 kilometers per hour. So the fish is still much faster, but so it's pretty shocked to see something like that coming by you, where you think like, oh, you're the fastest in the ocean, and then something just speeds completely by you. That was a pretty funny scene in the chapter, as we get Again, Suika and Croc are just enjoying like the sea air, like as they're speeding along, and they're going. It's hard to believe because this boat can actually compete with my top speed online, and you get like this little funny image of just Kohaku running on water, carrying the barrel of water for Rui. At the beginning of the series, and again, it's like I believe that says more about how fantastic you are, dear Kohaku. So, hey, praise from again. Not often he gives out praise to his fellow comrades, so praise there for again. And they continue to enjoy the sea air and just how cool it is. And then the blazing sun is like getting to them, and like, yeah, maybe we should go inside because there is nothing cool about this area, and the sun is right above us, and obviously it's right above them because they're in the Atlantic, and Gem mentions that they're at the point of the equator where it's completely the hottest. That's the hottest area on the Earth because that's the point where because that's obviously the middle of the Earth, so where it produces the most heat. So they're like, yeah, maybe we should go inside. And as they go inside, they find out that Senku and the team have created air conditioning, and then they're just like, this is the life. So cool and refreshing. It's like my sweat is freezing before drifting right away. And Gen goes on, not Gen, Senku goes on to say, we've already made a freezer, simple principle, which, yeah, it's a simple principle. If you have a freezer, you need some way to let out the cold air to stop it from overheating and exploding in front of you. So yeah, you need a way to release the cold air. And Ryusui goes, ha ha, the new Perseus with its new engine is finally wired for electricity. It's fully wired for electricity, which, hey, they had to get to this point somewhere where there was running electricity all the time, even when they weren't on land with the giant machine powering it to produce the engine. They had to get like condensed down so that they could use it when they were traveling. So hey, they've got it working. They've got it working now, and Francois is just in awe about the. I love this moment here because you can see it clearly in the background here of this panel that Francois is just loving the freezer itself. So, and somebody said freezer X Fran. Sure, why not? Let's just go with it. I mean, we've had Boiler Coon, now we have Freezer Coon. But anyway, Chelsea goes on to say, well, what are we? First class passengers? Size is Toad's ticket for me. And you see Chelsea, Suika, and Gen just around a table, like just enjoying some ice cream, and Gen is enjoying a nice cool bottle of Senku Cola, and he's like, modern living. How I've missed you. But of course, this is all thanks to Senku and Sinu and teaming up as the scientific powerhouses. But Senku informs them that whilst they are getting there to their final goal of building the spaceship to actually go and confront the Whyman, they are far from done. We cut back over to Axria as we have Ukyo going, okay, team, popping down his blackboard as they're all sat at like school desks. So he's like being the teacher now, which by the end of the series, I could actually see Ukyo taking that up full time, like being a teacher for many of the new people that are actually going to be coming into the world from Ishigami Village and the Kingdom Science, like the new children that are coming in, and Ukyo's going to be like the primary teacher there. But anyway, he's like pointing down his blackboard. It's like, okay, students, now we've got some work going on with us. Since Senku and his team are buggering off to get the other cities made up, Sino and his team are staying in Super Alloy City. We have to travel back to Corn City to get everyone revived and start reviving everyone in America. So that's our job. But how are we going to do that? Any questions? Any of that? Any? our only option is Morse code, which makes sense because you don't want to be like getting the Whyman's attention by sending out dozens of radio waves, even though Morse code is going to be sending out radio waves if they're going to be communicating all the time. And they go on to, and Senku goes on to say, and on that note, everyone's going to have to learn Morse code since we're all going to be in different locations, and we lack communication satellites, so where they can't talk across a great distance like they did before. I mean, they could use the phone, but at the same time they couldn't entirely use it for long distances. They could only use it for like what seems to be a mid-range distance, but at the same time they couldn't use it. They couldn't certainly contact people in Japan when they were in America. That's the point I'm trying to get here. And Kohaku's like Kohaku being Kohaku is like, ugh, I don't even know how to write, so how can I do this? And Suika's like, oh, don't worry, Kohaku, I can teach you that stuff. If you train me in some sort of combat, I'll teach you how to write. Which I love. I love that. I love the fact that Suika's like just jumping in as like, oh, you need something to be taught. Like that is so Suika. That line of like, I can teach you that. It's basically another way of her saying, hey Kohaku, don't sweat. I can teach you if it will make me feel useless. I can. This is probably like some Suika, a little bit of Suika's ego coming out. And like, somebody needs my help for once. Somebody needs me to be useful. That's something I know that somebody else doesn't. Well, time to get my sleeves rolled up and get myself feeling busy. So I love that, and I also love the next panel that's coming up after this one. So we get a montage of everyone in all the different locations, just going over what they need to go over. As we see Ukyo telling Taiju that because they'll be using rummages instead of full on Japanese, they only need to memorize 4 characters. And he says to Taiju, why not practice by giving everyone a status update? And Taiju being Taiju is just blurring it out. It's like, status update, once we finish the ship that Kazuki started for us, we'll be headed back to Corn City, which is nice that we actually got confirmation of how they're actually going to get back to Corn City now. Like, Kazuki gave them like, okay, here's the basic underline of the ship. Now it's up to you guys to actually build the rest of this ship. Maybe not a ship, like a tiny little boat. Not a tiny boat, but like a boat that's big enough to actually fit Luna, Carlos, Max, Ukyo, and Taiju on that ship to actually get back to Corn City. And Hyoga is like, yeah, Morse code is meant to be quiet, Taiju. You don't need to blur it out. So that's basically what Hyoga is saying. And Luna being Luna is obviously all over the place, scattered-brained. Like, sure, Luna is capable of it. No, I totally get it. The Corn City team needs me. I'll explain everything to Brody and those guys as the bridge building brigade go between. Yeah, I think Ukyo's gonna do more of the explaining, Luna, not you. But of course, the main thing is like, oh, but I'm gonna be separated from Senku. I don't want to be a long distance relationship, mind you. We haven't been on many dates together, and. I'm gonna text him every day. I mean Morse code every day. I mean, as you see, Carlos and Max like being like, why did it have to be Senku? Why couldn't it have been us? Now, the thing that really gets me interested is not the thing that's between Ginryu and Tsukasa, although that's a pretty funny scene because Ginryu's actually asking the question that a lot of audience members had. He's like, why am I staying in Super Alloy City? Definitely not because I'm terrified of high sea adventures. I'm staying to keep an eye on Xenu. And Tsukasa gives him the look of like, really? I have to deal with him? Really, Senku? But anyway, he says, Tsukasa goes on to say, I'll doubt he'll turn traitor, but just in case, Matsukaze and I will be here, making the location the most secure of them all. these team-up lineups really matter. Stability is just a matter of pretense to maintain a good balance power. So, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you've got the good balance of power in Super Alloy because of Ginru, because of Matsukasa and Tsukasa. Although Tsukasa is kind of like being a bit iffy, being a bit like disrespectful to Ginru because he is technically part of the power team to some extent. I mean, it's not as strong as him, but at least he's the best at that point of what they've got in terms of power and strength. But also, I love the fact that Tsukasa basically brought up what I was saying of like why he was chosen to stay behind the Super Alloy, saying he doubts that Sinu is going to turn traitor, but just in case, he's there to keep an eye on him and be like, hey, Sinu, yeah, don't be doing that and get back to work because I've got the giant Buster Sword pointing right in front of you and I could basically cut those hands off if need be. Even though I doubt that Tsukasa is going to do that, but yeah, I'm glad that Inagaki and Boichi actually addressed this in this chapter. But anyway, my thing that I loved about this was Chrome and Suika's interaction here, where Suika says, "I'm going to work hard to become Dr. Suika." And Chrome's like, nice, and we're basically the same age now, so that makes you my science user rival, which, please, Inagaki Boichi, make that happen. Make just the rest of this series be like just this rivalry between Chrome and Suika. That would just be so adorable. Would make the most sense because that would actually be incredible. Because Suika obviously learned a lot from Chrome and Senku when she was a little kid, but now she's not a little kid anymore, and she actually knows some stuff that probably even Chrome doesn't know, or she could probably think of some ideas that even Chrome can't think of, which was something that a lot of people were saying, like, Chrome thinks outside the box of ideas that even Senku can't come up with. Suika might actually be doing the same, be doing the same for Chrome, and that might actually get some reactions from it. And basically, it kind of fills the trio that we have in the series of just the big guy. Then you have his right hand man, and then his left hand woman. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about here, think back on it. Tsukasa Senpai of Might, you had Tsukasa, the big guy, and then you had Hyoga, his right-hand man, and then you had Ukyo as the left-hand man, but then also you had Homura as sort of like the right-hand woman. Well, she was more of a right-hand to Hyoga, but you can see the pattern that we're going over here. You have the big guy, then you have the right-hand man, and then you have the left-hand woman. Treasure Island, you had the big guy, Ibara, then you had Mosu, the right-hand man, and then Kirasami, the left-hand woman. Then you have the America, so you had Sinu, the left-hand guy, then Sinu, the big guy, then you had Stanley, the right-hand guy, and then you had Charlotte, the left-hand woman, and then, or possibly Maya, in that case. And then you get to, South America is kind of a little bit trickier there because, well, you do have Stanley and you do have Charlotte, so it's kind of difficult to pinpoint who the right-hand guy is. I guess you could say Leonard, or however you pronounce his name, but I kind of take a bit of issue there because he didn't really do much in that arc. He did a lot in that arc to actually keep track of the Perseus crew, but or of the Junior Science Brigade. But in terms of other elements in that arc, others in the arc, he didn't really do an awful lot, if I'm being perfectly honest. But still, that completed the trio for South America, and now we have the Kingdom of Science trio with Senku the main guy, Chrome the right-hand man, and Suika the right-hand woman. And Pi John's reckons this is more of going to be bringing Suika into doing more of the science rather than doing more of the power team, which, hey, I'm all for. Whatever team she gets on, perfectly happy with, whether she's on both or just one. I'd be perfectly happy with it. I mean, the science is more important at this point, so the fact that she's more on the important team, and the fact that Chrome at this point is finally recognised as, yeah, Suika is going to be a rival to me now that she's got a little older, she's got a little bit more experience. Yeah, she is going to be a rival to me, and I better watch out for her. And I just love it. And Party John's brought up, like, yeah, Chelsea kind of was starting to have this rivalry with Chrome at the in South America when when Sinker mentioned that what Chelsea's doing is an awful lot like Chrome, but yeah, it makes more sense for it to be Chrome and Suika since they have much more of a connection. Anyway, continuing on with this panel, Chelsea goes on to say, "I'm so hyped for this. A lap around the world by land and sea for free. Who ever heard of such a freaking good deal?" Which, yeah, a world tour on land and seas. Who wouldn't want to go along with that? And again, it's like, you may be the only one having this much fun, Gia Chelsea. That's how Gia goes, "Oh, come on, Gen, you're having the time of your life now." But Ryusui goes on to say, "I desire everything in this world. That's how it works when you're a pioneer, right?" And again, it's like, yeah, scratch that. Here's another one having the time. Oh, come on, Gen. You are going to build a spaceship. You are having the time of your life when you just put that into the equation. We are going around the world to find minerals to build a spaceship. We are exploring the world. So, again, you are exploring the entire world here. So, be a little bit more grateful. But anyway, continuing on, we see Haku's contribute to this panel. It's her just lopping some fish as she starts saying, Roma G's, oh, I kind of get what she's doing here. She's kind of... Is she might actually be talking like, because they say in Roma, it saying, "I caught fish in Roma G," so and she say it kind of like started up, so like "Sakana turita," so she's kind of saying it in like that. So maybe that's what she's doing in this panel. Like, she's actually practicing Morse code out loud whilst actually catching dinner for them. So that's probably what she's doing. Which, if that's the case, good on her for at least actually attempting to do this and actually learn Morse code. But we cut to a few days later, which judging by this panel, because you get a shot of the moon, like, and it's a full moon. And we had a chapter, and we had last chapter where it was a full moon in April. So this is obviously a few weeks after they've left. This is a few weeks after that test of the rocket engine, and they're probably in May at this point, which was probably when the new Perseus was completed. Yeah, so that's probably where they are right now in terms of the timeline. Like, we're in May 5750. Before we see Chrome just hanging out on the deck of the Perseus and going, "Come to think of it, the first time Whyman revealed themselves was because we started shooting bad radio waves into the air. That's just how the jerk noticed us to start with. Now that the radio waves are flying back and forth, isn't that going to get Whyman's attention? It's as good as saying humans are up and at it again." Yeah, but yes, Chrome, that is true, but which is hence why you've decided to go doing it more subtly. But again, Chrome, there is no way you're gonna not get the Whyman's attention. And this actually got me a little bit of a theory that I have. Like, the first time, the only reason why the Whyman in this chapter doesn't do the whole 12,800,000 meters 1 second 1 second message again, and it's a completely different message this time, is because they no longer have a working Medusa. Like, the first time. Now, the only wrench that goes into this theory is the fact that they didn't have a working Medusa until they actually got to South America, or they got to North America and they revived Joel. But at the same time, it does seem a little bit strange. Like, as soon as the Medusa's thrown down from the world, we start picking up this message of oh, I've just thought of something. Okay, so bear with me. Like, the whole why at the beginning of the series was probably the Whyman saying, like, "Why aren't the Medusas working? Why aren't the Medusas working? Why aren't the Medusas?" That's probably what they were picking up. Like, why aren't the Medusas working? Why aren't my Medusas working? That's probably right, because we get the flashback of Matsukaze explained that around 200 years ago, meters as the Medusas were falling down from the moon, and we got the message of why, and that's probably an indication of the Whyman actually getting mad of the fact that the Medusas are not petrifying the Earth at this point, and he was like, "Screw it, I'm just gonna keep repeating the 12,800,000 seconds, 800,000 meters 1 second over and over again until it at least activates. And it's it's a pretty staggering coincidence that the second that he's damn sure that the Medusa is completely out of battery, and okay, all of humanity is gone to stone. I'll stop this message. Like, the message actually stops at this point, and maybe he's like, maybe once he figured out, like, okay, humanity's up and running again, but he's like, crap, and I can't use that message anymore because there's no point. The Medusa's out of battery at this point. I'm damn sure of that. He's sending another message as a warning at this point. So that's my theory. Whether or not you guys agree with it, that's up to your interpretation. But that's my interpretation of, like, all these messages that the Whyman's actually sending. They actually have they actually have more of a meaning to the actions of the characters and the events of the series. Anyway, as Chrome is reminiscing about things, we get him and Leonard, Leon, and Ukyo looking shocked as they say that they've caught a signal from the moon. Now, now this obviously gives a confirmation that Leon was revived. Leon was revived, and he probably stayed in Super Alloy City, given that he's communicating with Ukyo from Axari. So yeah, he's probably in Super Alloy City on Martina Garcia. So yeah, they're getting a message from the moon, and this is when Chrome relays it to Senku after Gen asks him what the first destination is, and Senku mentions that they're gonna be finding a treasure called fluorite, which means stopping by. But before he can actually relay what the destination is, Chrome it comes in and is saying, like, bad news, just got something from Whyman, a message from Whyman, and Senku's like, yeah, we've kind of known for a little while, and Chrome's like, oh, of course you know, Senku. Why am I even telling you this? But Senku does explain that because they started communicating again, every time they do that, that's gonna get Whyman's attention, even if they're just using Morse code. And Ryu's was like, huh. Whyman's habit of responding to radio transmissions is a known fact, so we consider the guerrilla warfare option with total radio science. But the moment we feed up the induction heat, will be leaking electromagnetic waves. No matter how you slice it, you can't get a scientific civilization up and running without those waves. So yeah, there is no feasible way to get anything up and running without sending up those radio waves. So that is going to get Whyman's attention. But Chrome is like saying to him, like, no, that's not it. Since I know Morse code now, which, hey, Chrome getting his skills bumped up a notch there. He says the letters Whyman are sending, they aren't the usual Y, but since it's in English, he doesn't actually know what the message is, so he'll need someone to actually translate it out to them, as it gets the translation of, do you want to die? Do you want to die? That's the actual message there. An obvious threat now from the Whyman. As we see the Whyman just clamping down on Senku's face here, which is a reference to one of the panels when Ibarra's claws were clamping down on Senku as well. It's like trying to get him in his grasp. And actually, let's go back to the trivia page here. Oh, and also Senku, Senku is using a modernized version of their earlier cell phones known as a transceiver in this chapter. So yeah, that's kind of interesting that they're actually bumping up their information at some point. Although I've got a question: what has actually happened to Lillian's song, like the record that they have? Where is that at this point, Senku? Because you promised Nikki that would be preserved. So where is it? We need to know this. But anyway, let's see here. Let's go down. Yeah. Senku keeps getting figuratively grabbed by Claude villains who want to kill him. Like Ibarra was no exception, and now obviously we have Whyman, and Whyman also be drawn in slightly more detail than usual, more proof that the Kingdom of Science is getting closer to finding out who he actually is, like who or what this man actually is. And there's some neat parallels that he actually points out on the Twitter page, like when they first discovered the Wise Man's message, the five wise generals were completely freaked out, and now that they've discovered this threat, the main players in the Kingdom of Science that have gone off across the Atlantic are also freaking out at this point. Uh, and yeah, oh, Flaming Nora. Let me let me just go back to Flaming Nora. Where were we? Where were we? Yeah, that's sorry about this, guys. I had it on screen. Yeah, here we are. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be bringing it up here because he actually brings up something here involving Francois, which we'll get into it in a second. And they're like, "Well, crap, ha ha ha! Seems like the enemy is ready to start a conversation or at least a Q&A. What fun! Try sending a reply in every known language, Francos." And this was the line that I was actually referencing. It's like, okay, how many languages does this person actually know that Fran actually that Fran actually knows? Here's a Q&A from Mecha Senku in what must be one of the volumes that are going to be coming. They go, Mecha Senku Q&A. Or it might be in one of the previous volumes. I'll have to find it at some point. Don't Franco never says I can't do that. It's the butler really capable of doing everything. And Mecha Senku goes on saying, no one can literally do everything. Even when capable of something, Francos will do everything possible to fulfill a person's desires. So yes, you can never refuse from Francos that unbearing dedication to is the mark of a true butler. As we see, the three main languages that they actually know are English, makes sense, Japanese, and French. Makes sense. Those three actually do make sense. And then babysitting, cooking, healthcare, hospitality, office work, medicine, housekeeping, which can't do security and machinery. Now, other languages is crossed out for some reason, so it's like, okay, are they trying to hide some? Uh, oh, they specifically know other languages. Okay, so they know three languages: Japanese, French, and English. Rios was saying in this chapter, well, okay, go through those three languages and try and get a message out. Try and get a message out of them. Try and get a response out of them. That's basically what he's saying in this chapter, and everyone is just completely freaking out about this. As again, whispers something into Franco Ciez. Now, whether it's more of a like, okay, try to bait the Y man, try to bait the Y man into giving more information. We don't know what was actually said, so that's going to be something that will have to be explained later on in the series. So anyway, continuing on, as they try to get some answers from Y man, it turns out that he's not responding to them in any way. Now, there's a lot of interpretation of the line "Do you want to die?" which we'll go into when we get into the end of the chapter. But anyway, he stopped responding to them, and Gen's like, no matter what we say, Whyman ignores us, and Suika iterates that signals from the moon have stopped altogether, and they're like, oh, this was far from pointless. And Senku's like, what are you talking about? We're getting a clear picture of this Whyman entity, and oh no. So I completely misinterpreted this. Okay, so Gen says Whyman's ignoring them. Suika says signals from the moon have stopped altogether. But no, Gen says this was far from pointless. So Gen is saying all of this. Sorry about that. No disrespect again for taking away feats from him. But he goes on to say that they're getting a clear picture of the Whyman entity. It has its will of its own. It has no desire to respond to our over adventurers. It's only sending warnings. Yeah, I think that's that's more than just a warning. Itself terribly thinks that it's superior to us. So basically, going with the whole God multi, like I'm better than you because I have more advanced tech here. In which case, it won't fly into a panic rage and send Medusa's raining down. At least not anytime soon. Yeah, based on the ending of this chapter, that might be something you have to be aware of again, and we'll get into that when we get into it. Senku goes on to say, so Professor Whyman's two numbtats will come knocking, and they'll show up at his home on the moon. As Chelsea for some reason is like a real moon landing. Like, Chelsea, has your hyperactivity not making you paying attention? Okay, that is a weird line from Chelsea because Gen actually explained everything that was going on to her, and maybe she was like so hyper. She's like, oh yeah, this is hypothetically like if you go into moon, and like no, we're actually going to it, and she's like, oh wow, maybe I should be paying more attention here. She goes on to say, so when you say moon mission, we're not just hanging about in a spaceship. Like, okay, Chelsea, you need to calm down a bit. Like, what else are you gonna do with a spaceship? Yeah, that kind of takes me out of the chapter for a little bit, that line, but Chelsea, calm down. Anyway, continuing on. Senku says, no point otherwise. How else are we supposed to make Whyman's acquaintance? Exactly, Chelsea. But anyway, Senku says that they're going to be busting their butts to hustle all around the stone world. For this moon landing, they've got to craft three sacred treasures, which are spaceships, spacesuits, and rocket engines. Which I'm glad that they actually brought up the spacesuits, because that was kind of like the first thing that I was like, really, that's not on the list. Oh, maybe that's level 99, but nope, we're getting here, which might mean that we'll have a roadmap for the spacesuit. It's not like how to actually build a spacesuit, because I don't know how to build a spacesuit. Do you know how to build a spacesuit? No, so we'll need a roadmap to actually explain this. But glad that's like the three most important things. Yeah, because to go to space, you need a spacesuit. So the first stop is Spain. We'll find plenty of fluorite in Barcelona. So pretty much confirming we're in the Euro Park. Yay! They're coming to my continent now. Very happy about that. Coming to Europe, so we're in the Euro Park now. We're out of South America, in Europe now. Now, originally on the Dr. Stone wiki, I put this as the Barcelona arc, because obviously they've got the destination in Barcelona, which makes me think of Fawlty Towers and Manuel. I am from Barcelona. Seriously, go and watch that series. It's a good comedy series. But anyway, I initially put this as Barcelona arc, but one of the admins on that page said this is probably going to be more like the Europe arc, because Senku's probably going to be travelling through Europe, and Party Jams even thinks that they're not going to build a new city in Spain and call it New Barcelona. They're probably not going to spend an awful lot of time in Barcelona, which, okay, I can attest to that, but still, this pretty much confirms that Math City is in Europe. That pretty much confirms that, yeah, it's in Europe. Like, they're gonna sway around Spain, go to England, build up Math City, and then continue on the path that I initially thought of, like the Indian Ocean, and then get into Indonesia, and then Australia, and then back up to Japan to revive everyone. That's probably the route they're actually going to take. But anyway, Senku says the main reason that they're going to Spain is to collect fluorite to make the spacesuits and the spaceship. As Ryusui says, sounds like we're heading to the waters where the age of exploration started, the Mediterranean Sea. As we get the final scene of the chapter, which is the moon looking down on the earth, as we get like this sound effect that seems to be coming from the moon, and that's where the chapter ends. Now, pretty good chapter. We got some nice exposition of where they're going and like what the Whyman is actually doing at this point. Now, this sound effect makes me think like, yeah, the Whyman is preparing for an attack at this point because Gen says that the Whyman will be flying into a panic rage. Panic rage. Yeah, I think that last panel pretty much confirms he is flying into a panic rage, which probably means that. Oh, they're ignoring. They're not like stopping advancing. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to bring it up a notch, like my warnings and my threats. Now, the threat itself of "Do you want to die?" Like a lot of people are interpreting this as sort of like, would you rather die? Like the Whyman was actually giving them something like an outing, like you can either continue on Earth, but you're going to die from resources, or you can join me and basically make me dictate you of who's petrified and who's not, and basically allow me to be your god, mankind. That's what people are thinking. What the Whyman is actually doing. Now, I'm interpreting it a different way. The "Do you want to die?" is an actual direct threat of like, do you want to die? Okay, come and find me on the moon then, and I will kill you myself personally. Which would make sense why they showed the Whyman just grasping around Senku, like what Ibara, like the metaphor of Ibara grabbing Senku by the throat and actually trying to kill him. Like this panel is obviously a reference to it, of the fact that "Do you want to die?" and you see the Whyman clamping around Senku. That's, to me, that I took that as like, okay, the Whyman is directly threatening him, like, if you come to the moon, I'm gonna kill you. So we'll see what you do. I'm not gonna respond to you. I'm just gonna wait and see what you do. Oh, they're ignoring me. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to tuck my threat levels up. And he probably heard Gen actually say like the Whymans are gonna throw into a panic fit. And he's like, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. We'll see who's playing the tough guy. Now, the Whyman himself, I actually my theory of who he actually is that he was a scientist originally that was sent to the moon to do something, but he was tricked up there, and they locked him up to this AI machine and basically took all his tech and claimed it for, and these scientists on humanity claimed it for themselves. And he's like, okay, if they're going to use the thing that I love against me, I'm basically just going to become their god and simply dictate over them, like creates the Medusa. And it's like, okay, I'm going to dictate over them. I'm not going to let mankind advance because of what happened to me. I'm going to basically make them. I'm going to be making them prisoners and basically dictate for the rest of humanity's lifespan of exactly who gets to live and who gets to die. And I'm going to basically be playing God. That's my interpretation of the Whyman itself. Like basically using what he loves for evil purposes, even though he didn't initially want to do this in the first place. Like kind of humanity forced him into that position. So that's my theory on what the Whyman actually is. But hey, we don't know what the Whyman even looks like at this point. We might actually get next chapter. We might actually start getting little glimpses of like what the Whyman actually is. So that'll be something to look forward to. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lashanuk signing off. Later, guys.